Okay, I admit it. I didn't make the best decisions in my youth. I really just like to have fun, and life can be so boring, you know. And all this work and responsibility stuff. And my parents, boy, can they nag. They just don't understand. But you know what it's like, and well, you know. So when I turned 18 and I came of age, I asked my dad for what was entitled to me. I was his son after all. And anyway, how hard could it be? I'd get around to making a living, get a job and all that. But first I was going to have some fun. Throw some great parties, chase the ladies. Chicks dig me, you know. But as you know, it didn't work out. Honestly, I don't know how it went so wrong so quick. Well, all that money, I spent it, I guess. Wasted is more like it. It got so bad that I was out in the street, no place to live, no clothing, no friends. They were all there, even the chicks, as long as I was buying the drinks. But not so much when I wasn't. Not so much when I really needed them. I was so hungry. That was the worst. You know, dumpster diving's not all it's cracked up to be. Luckily, I got a job feeding pigs. A job. More like slave labor. It was just a teensy step better than being homeless. The owner wouldn't give me anything. And I know. How could a good Jew deal with pigs? Well, they're so dirty, so disgusting, so unclean. The Bible tells us that we're not supposed to even touch them. If anyone ever found out, I'd be cut off from God. Wouldn't be able to go to temple. Wouldn't have a prayer. I was so hungry. The slop the pigs were eating looked pretty good. That's when it hit me. That's when all the weight of all my bad choices finally came to my thick, stubborn, self-centered head. I screwed up, royally. I was no son of my father. Why did I ever think that I was entitled to anything? And then I thought, you know what? My father pays his workers a lot better than this guy, a lot better than feeding pigs. I know I messed up. But maybe he'll take me back as one of his workers. It's more than I deserve. Way more than I deserve. I'll tell him how wrong I was and how I wasted everything. Hurt him and wounded God. I'm so ashamed. I'll tell him I'm not even fit to be called his son.
Nobody ever told me how hard it was going to be a father. You know, my dad made it look easy. And he was really a good man. I do love my kids so much. I want so much for them to do well in this world. Make good choices and be happy. And I have to admit it, maybe I spoiled the younger one a bit. Life's been good to me and I like sharing God's blessing. But at the same time, boy, did I grieve over that boy. Despite what my oldest said, I knew he wasn't lazy. It's just that he needed to grow up and take some responsibility. Realize that our choices have a way of catching up with us. But if I knew as a dad I couldn't make those choices for him. I tried being hard on him, that didn't work. He only rebelled more. I knew I had to let him go his own way. But nobody ever told me how hard it would be to see your son take such a destructive path. And when he left, gosh, I cried so much, I prayed so hard. It broke my heart. It nearly destroyed me. My grief was so great. Weeks went by, months, still nothing from him. I knew then my son was lost. He was dead, and my son no more. And then that one fateful day, a glorious day, I saw him from afar off coming in. And even as far away as he was, I could tell he was in little more than rags. And my heart just went out to him. And I was giddy as a schoolgirl. I ran out and hugged that son of mine, ruffled his hair, ruffled his head. I used to, kissed him hugged him again. I was so happy, so thankful. The boy said something about sitting against me in heaven and how he wasn't even fit to be my son. But I admit it, I didn't hear a word of it. Abby was dead. I was just so thrilled to have him back. Right away I called for him to get out of those rags and eat something that was more decent. I ordered a feast, a party like none before. We were going to celebrate. The boy was dead, but he's come back to me alive again. He was lost, but now he's found. We just had to celebrate.
Okay, fine. I admit it. Maybe I was jealous when I was younger. You know, Dad always seemed to favor the younger brother. After all, he was the baby boy. I don't know why Dad didn't see through his games, his laziness, his sense of entitlement. You know, I worked hard for my father. I mean, just look around. Do what's expected of me. The truth is, I ended up having to do my baby brother's share too. I couldn't believe my dad gave him all his money. Good riddance if you ask me. So when I came in from the fields, I heard the music, I heard the laughter, and the dancing. I asked the servant what was going on. Can you imagine? I about lost it when my baby brother was back from his escapades and his illicit affairs. I was mad. I was angry. And here Dad was acting like nothing had ever happened. All the grief, all the pain he caused our family, not to mention the loss of our livelihood. That land had been in our family for 7 generations. My baby brother sold it so he could go off and party. And to top it off, here Dad was throwing him a party. He even killed the fatted calf. All these years, I was the one who did the work. I did everything my dad asked. Even though it was grueling labor. Not me. I'm not going in. No way. I was not going to give into any part of this celebration. Just not happening. And when my dad came out, I let him know it too.
I know the boy screwed up. I know it. That's not what it's all about. This is all about finding out that a son you thought was dead is now alive. He's come home to us and found now, though he had been lost. I tried to tell my oldest boy that. He knows me. He knows how grateful I am for him, and I give him anything he wanted. Maybe I take it for granted, but the truth is that I often think of him as an extension of myself. I tried to tell him that all I had was his as well, but he just wasn't listening. He was so wrapped up in the anger and resentment, his notion of unfairness, that he couldn't even celebrate with the rest of us. But we had to celebrate because his brother was dead and has come to life. He was lost, and now he's back.